welcome to the stage the CEO of CESMII. John, the floor is yours.
Thank you, and welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Just a few quick notes to help you get the most out of the session today. First, if you have a moment, explore the webinar platform. You'll see a chat function. We'd love to know what topics you're most interested in, or even hear suggestions for speakers you'd like us to invite to future events. And right next to the chat, you'll find a Q&A section. Please, for this session particularly, post all of your questions in the Q&A tool, not in the chat. We'll be monitoring the Q&A session live. We'll focus on some of the specific questions that we have for the audience, for the speakers here, but we'll spend a fair bit of time after the dialogue with the panel to address your questions. So please make sure you put them in the Q&A tool, not in the chat. And don't forget to follow IIoT World on LinkedIn and X to stay updated with event news, expert insights, and session highlights. A couple of housekeeping items. We're taking questions at the conclusion, as I mentioned. So please post those in the Q&A tool. The track will run roughly 58 minutes, and we'll have you out of here on time. That's my commitment to you. So with that out of the way, I'd like to introduce our topic and speakers. First, a little bit about myself. John Dyke, the CEO of CESMII, the Smart Manufacturing Institute. We're funded by the federal government here in the US to advance and adopt the adoption of smart manufacturing to help our nation become more competitive as a manufacturing nation. So our focus is to work with manufacturers, with machine builders, with academia, with technology providers, and systems integrators and consultants to raise the level of awareness of what's necessary for us to become more productive and more competitive using smart manufacturing here as a nation. Our three speakers, our three panelists for this session are Kenny Ralph, Asif Kabani, and Miranda Moonen. A little bit about each of them briefly, and then I'll ask them to elaborate a little more when they respond to their first question. Kenny Ralph Santos is an accomplished industrial operations executive and control and automation engineer with over 2 decades of experience leading transformative initiatives in the manufacturing and metal mechanics industries across Latin America and Europe. Miranda Moonen, CEO and founder of Gusti. She combines deep industry experience with technical innovation. She works on chemical plants and tank terminals for over a decade before founding Gusti, where she builds the foundations for AI-powered assistance that will support engineers in reducing downtime, improving preventive maintenance, and automating decision-critical admin. And last but not least, Asif Kabani, MBA. He's the executive director of the SDG Center, Geneva, and author of a book on AI sustainability, Next Generation Leaders. He's a seasoned professional with over 25 years of experience in the manufacturing and industrial sector with a specialized focus on sustainability and technology. So I'm going to turn to our panelists now, and we're going to break the conversation up into 3 segments. One is on the business aspects and the value proposition of AI. The second is going to be on people and culture. And then the third will be around technology. And as I stated, when we've had time to peruse each of these segments, we will turn to the audience and address the Q&A sessions or questions that you will provide for us in the Q&A task here. So with that said, I'm going to direct the first question at you, Asif. Tell me, what key metrics or frameworks should organizations use to accurately measure the long-term return on investment of an AI system, moving beyond initial deployment costs to account for the compounding value generated over its entire life cycle?
Well, John, thank you very much for the great introduction and talking about my book. As well as an executive director, I shared a lot of my perspective and how we can measure the long-term ROI in the AI system. And since I shared a lot of AI meetings in Europe as well and EU Act as well, so what I strongly believe that AI systems, and when we're talking about the AI frontiers now in this conference, we have to emphasize that we have to move from the traditional ROI system that we do, because I'm an economist by design as well, and I work for the UN and the World Bank and other. Now we are moving to a dynamic framework that should capture the whole value of the AI, because life cycle is changing now. Okay, the traditional ROIs cannot be done. So the challenge with the traditional ROI matrix is that we often use advocate concept of technology in measuring the AI. We focus on initially just the cost and the initial return of the investment. That maybe we will build an AI center in US for $500 billion, $1 trillion, right? But we fail to account that this is AI is a unique characteristics. It has its own compound value as well. So AI system just does not provide one-time benefit, okay? What people believe, like head of the states, when I speak with a lot of world leaders as well, it's not a one-time that you make a machine or a factory. It is changing. It is changing. It is learning. It is adapting. It has its own value. It creates its own value over the time as well. So you have seen the technologies now evolving as well. Second is that we need to focus on the strategic and intangible benefits. Okay, so as an economist, I want to emphasize that the most of the significant benefits from the AI is that it helps us in making decision making. It helps us improve customer experience in manufacturing. When I was in Germany, we told the Manufacturers Association that you need to bring innovation, you need to bring AI, because it will increase your productivity, and you will have simpler financial model of doing things and doing the smart manufacturing. Because the third important point is that you need to have a cost, look at the cost of the maintenance as well, okay? How to scale these models, how this data in the business needs to change. So my simple concept is that we have to look at the framework of measurement of the long ROI in an ecosystem, okay? So we need to develop a financial core system with dynamic ROI analysis. Traditionally, we've been doing it traditional way. So here we need to have a dynamic net present value concept system that as the AI grows, it can change its value. Secondly, we have to have a non-financial layer that people can understand the strategic and the operational matter. For example, human has to be in a loop for the efficiency. This is what we are discussing in Europe, US, UK, and Europe. Because the AI system will have the adaptability and a learning rate. So it can produce more profit to you as well over the course of the time on the ROI as well. So we need to develop a system that brings value to the AI system, and it is not just working in the vacuum, so it can deliver. So the practical approach is that you can develop an initial idea how your system learns and then put it in a mature life cycle system where it can deliver, and it can basically provides the benefit, and it can benefit the whole entire organization, its own ecosystem, and it is reducing the cost by operating itself as well. I hope I've answered the question.
Yeah, outstanding. Much appreciated. So I'll turn to Miranda next and ask you, do you see a future where companies collaborate to co-invest in AI systems, building a common foundation that then can be fine-tuned for each site? This would reduce costs, increase ROI, and accelerate adoption. Is such cross-company collaboration realistic, or will most companies still build in isolation?
Well, what I think most companies will build in isolation and have reason to want this. I do think it would be very beneficial if there would be the same as we all go to school, we educate on school, like collectively, and then we go into an organization, and then we learn about that organization and how we work. And if my main focus is building an AI agent team for maintenance, and of all the different organizations I work with and I help with Gusty, I see that there is a lot of unawareness of like the absolute basic stuff about maintenance planning, about maintenance scheduling. And if we could train and build a maintenance AI team with no organization specific, no sensitive information, just the basics. So each company will have a hardcore kern of a maintenance team. So even when the people go to different organization, that knowledge stays inside the organization. Yeah, I could definitely see all the organizations I've been that will massively improve their maintenance team. Yes, but if it's I mean, a lot of organizations have to work together. So yeah, if it's realistic, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a great response. One of the really interesting opportunities we've seen here in the U.S. with a semiconductor coalition of about 12 semiconductor manufacturing companies who all have kind of a very consistent or common constraint in their manufacturing operations. In theory, they would all have to build their own models and on virtually the same equipment, on virtually the same process. In this one case, they decided to get together, working with us to do exactly that, to work together to build sort of a harmonized information model against which all 12 of them could bring their data sets and train models,
Okay.
which then could be ripped apart.
And how is that going?
Fantastic, but it's the only collaboration of its kind I've seen so far. So I think you're right. The tendency is, especially in the US, is for these manufacturing companies to really sort of focus on doing their own thing. Collaboration at this level is not yet part of our DNA, but I think it needs to become, especially for AI.
I agree with you on this one, John. Great point.
All right, thank you. So Kenny, how can smaller companies design AI systems at scale when resources are limited compared to big players?
Perfect. So thank you so much for having me today, John. So I'd like to share my idea about the collaboration AI system after I will answer your question. About collaboration AI systems, I'd like to, additionally, collaboration is realistic, especially on shared challenges like safety and predictive maintenance, where costs are high and solution can be used across the industry. From my experience, the real value comes and we thought these common frameworks and adjust then with local data, equipment, components, or conditions, predictions, needs, and workforce practice. The future will probably be a hybrid model as shared foundations that reduce cost and speed up adaptation, while each company adapts locally to keep its competitive advantage. In terms of smaller companies, I think partnership are absolutely essential. With startups, university research programs, there are a lot of university research programs around the world, academic leaders, or even large solution providers. No, but most walk this road alone, I think. By working together, companies can share our knowledge, technology, and resources that are too expensive to building alone. When it's come to strategy, I always suggest just one thing: start small. Trust me, start small. Begin with one process has improve of concept or POC, which simply means a small test designed to prove that an idea or technology, works in practice. Which could be one example, predictive maintenance, energy saving in one production line, or quality control using AI vision. When the results are clear and become much easier to gain support from leadership and then scale up step by step. Especially here, I'm based in Brazil. Here in Brazil, we sometimes say jeitinho brasileiro. Brazilian know well that this means, which means finding a creative way to get things done. When resources are limited to, for example, smaller companies, which shows that every company, no matter its size, has an opportunity to be part of this AI journey. Let me finish with an idea, John. In times of profound change, direction it's more important than speed. It's my perspective.
Yeah, well said, Kenny. I appreciate that. I think there's a real opportunity, particularly for small, medium manufacturers, to perhaps leapfrog some of their larger peers in the industry, just because this represents such a foundational mindset shift for them. And as you pointed out, whether it's Brazil or whether it's other great manufacturing nations, if you have that mindset that we have to improve, we have to innovate, we have to continue to push the envelope, I think this notion of AI in manufacturing can become a massive accelerator in that way. So thank you for that.
Perfect.
So shifting gears a little bit towards people and culture around this topic of designing AI systems. Miranda, I'm going to turn to you first and ask you about the notion that many employees see AI as a threat that could replace their jobs, yet they are also the ones who must adopt the solutions. How do you think AI should be introduced in such a manner that people see it as an empowering tool rather than as their competitor?
Yeah, well, that is something that I already deal with on a daily basis, because everything that my company does is to help technical professionals work more efficient. So yeah, it's always well, it's a good thing that I used to be a maintenance planner myself, so like I'm on your side. But yeah, that's going to be difficult. But I think like with a lot of when consultancy companies come and they have like an improvement project, they always think like, oh, we need to get the people on board, we need to make them feel like they're heard. What I think is the case, like if you can show and you can prove like this is going to be an improvement, everyone is going to be on board. And of course people will kind of lose their job, but that is because it reveals that they were underperforming, and they are like in a better place if they go work for another organization or step into another role. But with my company, I have these programs and where I clean the backlog. So all the work orders, most organizations have like 5,000-6,000 work orders. Well, you can imagine if I enter the room and I say I'm going to clean the backlog, all the engineers, all the asset owners are going to be like, nah. I mean, those work orders are there for a reason, and then there's always someone who says, well, everything that's older than 4 years, we can just close them. But then I come with my AI agents, and I do it on a totally different way. So I categorize them. So then we have like 500 work orders that only have like 2 punch items. And then they can say, okay, with 2 punch items, that's older than 6 years. Yeah, okay, you can close them. So still, it's not a matter of fact that we have to go one by one, but they know and they feel like everything that we closed was legit, worth closing. And that's how I approach everything. If we can make sure that we meet the needs of the technical professionals and we honor that they have their responsibilities, I do not see a problem in this. Yeah.
Outstanding. I think that's a great response. I think there is going to be some impact, and in many cases, the manufacturing companies are looking are struggling with finding workers and finding a workforce that's able to support the manufacturing operation. But yeah, I think that's great. So Kenny, I think you had something to add there.
Yes, John. I think employees must be involved from the beginning. Companies must show that the AI is replacing jobs, but removing boring tasks and giving people safer, smarter tools, training and clear communication are very important when workers see AI making their jobs easier. It's true, AI making their jobs easier. Adaptations becomes natural, in my opinion.
Very good. So Kenny, I'm going to direct the next question to you. You've got the stage here. So what's the best way to balance human expertise with AI systems that continue to learn and expand?
Oh, great question. From my standpoint, as an engineer, human expertise is and the AI must go hand in hand. We are probably living during the greatest transformation in our modern history, including ChatGPT, for example. And this moment, balance it's essential, in my opinion. So AI brings speed, data, and precision, while people bring creativity, culture, and responsibility. I truly believe that the real state of art, isn't technology alone, but the combination of people and technology working side by side. It's true state of art, in my opinion. So, for example, in predictive maintenance, AI can analyze thousands of signs, finding patterns that, but humans would never see thousands of signs. But it is the engineers who decide which actions to take, and the operator who knows the real condition of the machine. Together, they prevent failures, reduce downtimes, and make the workplace safer. Or take quality control. AI vision system can check every prompt and the line with a high precision, but people define the standards, make improvements and give context. Without human expertise, the data has no meaning. So what do this tell us? I think it tells us that AI isn't here to replace people. AI is here to make people stronger, to give them safer and smarter tools to allow them to focus on what human the best, like problem solving, creativity, and innovation. Finally, technology without human values can be danger, in my opinion. I agree. We need to combine both people and the AI, building systems that are only smart but also more reliable, sustainable, and focused on people.
Very good. So before I turn to Asif for the final question on this segment, I'd like to ask the organizers to throw up the first poll question for the audience. So great, there he is. We'll give you about 30 seconds to respond to this poll, and then we'll go on. We'll continue with the questions to the panelists. Okay, let me turn to you, as I mentioned, Asif. How can an organization design an AI system to be truly evolutionary, ensuring that it both learns and improves over time rather than becoming a static, one-time solution? And along those lines, what specific architectural or data governance practices are essential for this? It's a big question.
Thank you very much, John, for giving this big question. I address this question a lot in Europe when I sit in the EUAC meetings in the databases, because US is very different. I started approving when I worked for the United Nations Internet Governance and Policy Offices, and we approve systems for AI, for IBM, Google, or OpenAI. But when the same system comes to Europe, it has a different way of looking at the society, because societies are not same. You understand? I'm an American Scandinavian. So when I'm in US, it's all about money, no regulation. When I come back to Scandinavia and Europe, it's all about regulation and safety of the things, right? Either it's an architect, it's people, or it's the cultural as well. Okay. And I really like the feedback that we just received, that how people are going to scale this one, right? So what I want to say, that this is a wonderful question. I'm thankful to the speakers before me as well who have highlighted this one. So we all have to believe in our organizations when we're designing the system in manufacturing or other ones, that these systems will evolve. This is just the tip of the iceberg that we see, right? This AI systems will be creating more continuous learning loops that will enable. So you have seen it, right? With the Google coming out with the new technology, the image banana, and this and this. And today we approved 2 of the new things as right. They can write very good books in storytelling and, transcripting and other things as well. So some technologies, maybe you will see it after 1 week in US, maybe you see someone after 2 weeks in Europe, but things are moving. So when we approve this technology, when the people are building it, this one, we tell them that please design a dynamic system, not a static product. Build a system that is independent to learn, adapt, and improve its own performance over the time by leveraging the new data and the feedback. So I put this answer into 3 categories. Number 1, as you pointed out, we need to focus on the essential when we are architecting this system, right? When you are making a house or a building, same we are developing with the AI, right? It should be modular. Those people, as the lady mentioned, those modules that are working very good, we should keep them. Those who are not working, we should take them out from the system. For example, some algorithm will be performing very good and they will become available. So you can keep those models. And some models that are not working in the systems, you have to swap those models and put the new one so the system performs very well. Second is that feedback is like a food in AI, right? So take the user feedback, and so the system can learn, grow, and do the, as the gentleman also mentioned as well, it can give you prediction and accuracy. So you can design the system, because when you are in the manufacturing or real-time performance, you don't want to have any errors in purchasing, sales, or whatever the machines you are doing. Sounds good. So the third thing is that in Architect, that you have to automate your machine learning processes as well, okay? Because if you automate your machine learning processes and pipeline, that will ensure that we always have learning from the latest data rather than preventing a model drift. Model drift is a new term I've already explained in my book as well. You've seen it that the OpenAI had this problem with the GP chat and the other tools as well, right? So it has been faced by Meta as well. Meta could not make it because it was model drift, right? So we have to develop a model that performs with the time. As the time changes, the real data changes, because the people and generations are changing. The second part, which I speak regularly in all over the world on my speeches as a keynote speaker, is the data governance practices, right? This is a big debate happens like when we had an event in Norway recently with the United Nations Data Governance. The US senators said, no, there should not be a governance of the data. And Europe is on the other stream. They believe the data governance has to be there, right? But we have to have a balance in which one. The more effective data governance that we have, the more better the system will be developed and learned, and it will be more reliable and high quality. We have seen it. Access tried some of the systems. It was not reliable. The quality of data was not good. Still, they could not launch the XAI. So the robust data quality basically establish a protocol where and how it transformed the essential idea to maintaining a whole system's output. In manufacturing, smart manufacturing, we need a reliable data and governance as well. So the system should not hallucinate, okay? Second is that there is a lot of problem we see right now in data governance is the version control and the data models, right? So the databases are not treated properly as well. So now I have just finished one of the papers a couple of weeks ago. It's going to be published a report from the EU IIoT on the databases, right? Because most of the databases are run under the US company, but they are running the systems in Europe, UK, and all around 200 countries in the world, right? So we have to develop a system in an AI model that codes and updates its version, so we exactly know which version is doing what, which one is performing better, and which one has some issues that we need to go back and see the audit. So my input on the AI Act, which is releasing in October, addresses this issue of the data, because sometimes US, we may have a new version available, but EU has to approve those versions before that can be run into the manufacturing processes in this one. So for this one, we have to make sure that there is no bias of the data, and there is a lot of ethical auditing we do in the AI systems when it comes to around the world. For example, it does not have any unfair advantage, discrimination, patents, and other things as well, okay? But it also evolved in the manufacturing process as well, because it has to be run according to the organization value and the regulator environment. So we cannot say this is a machine. It has to run in this. The last question that my fellow speakers have addressed is the people and the culture. We always have to believe that in the end, it is the people and the functional team that is leading the AI. AI is not just only a technology surrounded by the people and the businesses and requirement. It has to work in the culture experimentation with the, as the lady has also mentioned, that it has to give a safety and support system to the people, that it's showing that it is enabling and working together to learn from us and making an improvement in the life in the whole ecosystem. That's why I emphasize before and now again, we need to have a human in loop system, which is ITHL design. When you design a system, make sure that it has a human loop approach, ensures, because it can handle the data routinely. You can see the complex tasks, because human in the end are basically the superior forces. They can understand the feedback. AI can learn from this feedback, and it's a rigorous cycle, and we have to make sure that they coexist and work together to make the cycle improvement as well. I hope I've answered the question in detail.
Yeah, I really think you have. And interestingly, just to sort of underscore what you said about regulations and the response in the U.S. versus Europe, we've been working closely with initially Germany and then some of the other European countries around manufacturing data standards, interoperability, and with an attempt to harmonize our approach to these things, knowing that the manufacturing supply chain is truly a global one. And we've learned too that Germany and Europe is very much on the sort of regulation side of the continuum, and the US is much more on the, we're not going to do this unless there's a business reason, unless there's an ROI for it. And so there's a fairly distinct difference between approaches to things like governance and to things like, how do we bring these important capabilities to the marketplace, and then how do we govern them properly? So yes, two different approaches, but I think working together and learning from one another in an attempt to harmonize these is truly an important thing. So moving to the third and final segment of this panel discussion on technology, Asif, I'll ask you to respond to the first question. Beyond a single use case, how do you apply platform thinking as an approach to AI to ensure that models and data and insights can be compounded and reused across different workflows and business units to maximize long-term value?
Thank you very much, John. This is my area of expertise. It is a great pleasure to discuss this critical topic, the idea of the platform thinking, because we have been saying this for a long time. You must have heard this from all the tech companies as well. The idea of platform thinking for AI is very, very important, because we have to shift away from calling it as project thinking. It's not a project thinking, it's a platform thinking, because where each AI initiative stands alone as an effort, it starts in the beginning and the middle. But project thinking creates silo systems. Now you see we have a problem. We have a GP chat system, we have a Gemini system, and they are very expensive to maintain, right? They're really, really expensive. That's why you see, you gave a very good example. In US, we try to have silicon people working together. This is the first thing. If the hardware people work together, then we can have the software people working together, because we are here to serve the whole world, especially the global south. So my friend Kenny is from Brazil as well. They have talented people. We have people on the whole of global south. You see India, big countries, right? They don't have the money like the US and the Arabs, right? But they are developing a system. So we have to look at that. They are very expensive systems to develop, but it is difficult to scale. If we fail to leverage this technology, we cannot compound the value of the AI. So the platform approach is the approach which basically helps us develop this strategy, and we can have a usable assets as well, okay? Because we have a lot of technologies will be there. Sometime the demand will go up, sometime the demand will come down. So we have to build a shared core capability that can be leveraged by extended across the entire organization. For example, when I was in Norway and we were discussing the ocean AI systems as well, which is 75% of the world is ocean, right? So we had people from Microsoft, Google, IBM, and I was chairing the meeting. And I said, look, we have to work together. If we work in silos, we will not be able to solve the problem. Our job as an executive director, like I serve at the United Nations, is SDG 14, is the ocean, right? We can use ocean. We have to protect the ocean. If there is no ocean, there is no life, right? We need AI systems, not in silos, but as a shared services. So here, what I believe is that the platform thinking has to apply as an approach, and we have to move the architect from the silos to the shared one today or tomorrow, international organizations will work together. Right now, we opened the hardwares. Now it is going to be opening the softwares as well. So centralized AI infrastructure is the first step to establish this idea. And you see, when Trump came, he said, no, we will have our own AI. But now it's shared between the SoftBank, Oracle, and it will start with a lot of different ideas. EU has also jumped in, UK is jumped in, because it's all about the data and the model from top to bottom. The mandate is to provide a solution that is clear and that prevents redundant data, because everyone will get different data, right? So we have to work together. Second, I also mentioned before, is that we need to have a reusable module component as a foundation model. So when you develop a foundation model, for instance, you need to invest in an idea that all the internal knowledge and the searches that we do, for example, it's a sale for the smart manufacturing, generating data, getting initial investment. These models are reusable components, so they can be swapped with each other. The API first approach is the concept that we have been discussing, that this allows a different idea. You have to plug in the ideas. The AI platform can consume a capability, and you see Microsoft and other ones have started to work on this idea that we want to decommoditize, and we are allowing the product developer from non-technical, including Apple is open to this one, to build their own app, which you saw yesterday as well, that they say, okay, now the Siri can work in this and this rather than. The other part that comes in, the second part, which is the data and the governance flywheel. I hope you have heard of it, and it's in my book as well. We need to share not just the data, but the metadata also, because we need to have a metadata catalog. It gives the quality and the score that how these teams are working in smart manufacturing, how they're engaging, for example, how the products are developed and how the new features are incorporating. So that's why in this idea, we need to have a compounding loop, okay? If we have a compounding loop in the platform, then we are creating a data loop where AI applications can work in a platform and they can generate new data and new insight. If you use the traditional loop, it will not work. So the new data loop gives a feedback in centralized data lakes and enrich the ecosystem in making the new models more intelligent and rigorous, and the life cycle improves and the platform grows and it gives new values. And the last thing I always say, it's the people culture of the platform thinking. Okay, so we need to develop center of excellence as well for the people. Like I chair one of the AI centers in Sweden as well. They are very advanced in developing a lot of things as well. So it's not just about the team, it's about the teaching them as a center of excellence, that this data that we are developing, it's going to empower the businesses as well, and it will provide the solution as a platform. Other thing is that we have to educate people as well, that whatever we are building, it has to be there to help the business and create a high impact, not just for yourself as well as a cost, but as well as the society as well. So my conclusion is that we need to develop a system which is not just single purpose, but a solution that builds strategic asset, generates network, accelerate innovation, and maximize the long-term compounding value for each dollar we are investing in AI. It is the only sustainable way to build the competitive AI system in a new AI economy. And I've written a paper on this one as well. And we spoke in Germany, Europe, and US as a lot as well, and Nordics also. So most welcome to read all of my papers on the subject as well.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate that response. I'd like to put the next poll question in front of the audience, and in advance of asking Kenny a very direct question about the key risks when scaling AI in production and how we can manage them. But if we can get the next poll up, I think that would be a great way for Kenny to see the responses in real time. So we'll give you a few seconds to respond here. What is the biggest risk when AI systems keep learning and growing? Okay, Kenny, you'll see the responses pop up here shortly, but as that happens, let me ask you to respond to that question. What are, from your perspective, the key risks when scaling AI in production, and how can we manage those risks?
So I'd like to talk about the pool question. Can I answer some things? Okay, John. I think the biggest risk in the AI system keep learning in the grow. So all these options zero risk, but production stability is a classic concern. Okay, if AI makes the wrong adjustment, it can stop line. Data security is critical as well, because AIs grow, sensitive information becomes more exposed. Job displacement, I also part this debate is controversial sometimes, but in my view, as I mentioned, AI should be used empower people, not replace them. The cost scaling, okay, is a big challenge for smaller company, as I mentioned, which is why partnership is so important. Finally, losing human expertise. It depends, of course, depends only on AI. We risk falling to knowledge or creativity that the only people can bring. In terms of the risk scaling AI production, okay, from my perspective, this is really one of the biggest challenges. The first risk is infrastructure. Many companies aren't fully prepared with the right system. Okay, here in Latin America, the infrastructure is so bigger challenge. Connectivity, it's another challenge, and that data quality. So another risk, in my opinion, is integration. Okay, AI must connect with process and people, which isn't always simple. We also need to consider cybersecurity, uh, and data protection, because AI system scale is sensitive information becomes more exposed. There are the big data. There are several risks was involved. The sensitive information, okay, it's exposed. Additionally, to manage this risk, in my experience, it's so important to start with a clear strategy, investing in stronger data governance, protecting information with robust cybersecurity. There are a lot of companies, big companies, or okay, startups with robust cybersecurity, and ensure okay, employees are trained and engaged. I truly believe AI isn't just about technology. Okay, it's about people. Not just about people, as well as, okay, I include process and culture working together. John.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think most things, particularly something this transformative and this dramatic in our world, and as well as in most other industries, meaning the manufacturing world as well as other industries, they do revolve and dramatically impact people, process, and technology. I think we default quickly to the technology question, which is specifically why in this panel discussion we've initially addressed first the business value and then the people and cultural process, because I want us to sort of get away from the notion that it's just a technology conversation, because like I said, that's where we gravitate to very quickly, and that's where so much of the new innovation is. But bringing the people along and equipping the people and ensuring that the people, the workers, leadership understand the rightful place of what this can do to support their business processes and eliminate the difficult and the dangerous and the dull and the dirty work. That's such an important part of how we can ensure this transformation is one that's consistent with our ethics, that will drive productivity and help us improve as society as a whole. Miranda, I'm going to ask you the final question, no pressure. Do you see any real improvement in data quality in the legacy systems that companies rely on, like ERP or enterprise asset management, not just in newly set up platforms? And if that baseline doesn't improve, do you see it as a barrier for meaningful AI adoption?
Yes, I definitely see that as a problem. first of all, to set it up, and second of all, to train the models. So Kenny and Asif both mentioned about the feedback loop, and we need the people to give like context to what the AI is seeing, so you can have like all the facts, all the measurements, but the people know that there was some job going on outside, and maybe that's what spiked the vibration. But it's not even with just the context, even all the data that is already in place, it also has no context and no feedback. So for example, if you want to have AI agents that help you with your scheduling, if you don't have the feedback loop, if the AI will never know why it wasn't executed as planned, then the AI can never learn from itself. And the problem is that we cannot tell AI because most teams don't really know. I mean, they have their gut feeling, like a lot of work doesn't go through because of this and this reason, but it's just a gut feeling, and it's just from hearsay, and it's not something you can use to train your AI models with. So there need to be a good basis that we start with data that have context to train the AI model. But then when we start to, I like to say, play around with it, because it's not something that you say like, okay, we trained an AI model and now we're going to use it and it's going to be full effective. No, it's just gonna, you're going to do the work that you usually do. And then you have your AI agent, and that works maybe as an assistant. So I can see a maintenance engineer. He's like, okay, there was downtime yesterday. Give me all the relevant information that I need to have. Like maybe it's drawings. It's from all the IoT things, all the data that it think it needs, and probably the engineer would do it himself. And maybe he will just check like, okay, did you have the same as I did myself? And then he will grow and say like, okay, this is actually helping me. But this is a situation that we can give the AI model the feedback. Like, okay, the engineer was like, yeah, you did it better than me, or maybe you didn't. But if we look at specific parts, and especially maintenance, where you have sometimes maintenance departments that are so busy just firefighting, they don't have the feedback loop. So yeah, this is going to be something that, and I mean, there are solutions for this. So I do think it is possible. But yeah, if you want to start using AI agents, then you have to go back to, I don't know, Industry 4.0, maybe even before that, because yeah, it's not in place yet. That's my opinion.
Yeah, that resonates with me as well. Yeah, very much so. Yeah, so Asif, you had something to add to that?
Yes, the lady explained it very nice, and the gentleman as well. I give you an example as well that we just discussed this week as well. The AI has to understand sustainability, because all the AI was developed in the US most of the time, right? So it's very hard for me to explain to my US cousins as well sustainability instead of my children in Nordics, right? Okay, so very nice example. Okay, in manufacturing, I give this example in Germany as well. So what lady and everything explained, I just explained it in lame. For example, when you are in smart manufacturing, when you start to repair the machine, it goes into the maintenance, it goes into the downtime, right? For a couple of weeks, because you have to open the whole machine in the plant, and then you have to rebuild it, right? So for example, now you are unassembling this machine or maintaining the machine, as the lady mentioned, you're maintaining the machine, right? And you see one of the part that is technically broken. So you tell the AI agent that I need this part. That agent will search the best possible price for the part, and it will order it in the system, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. But if the AI does not understand the concept of sustainability, it will put this part into a 777 big jet, so you can have it in 2 days. But if the engineers are sensible, they can put a sustainability concept that we need this part after 2 or 3 weeks. So if they can send this part via ship, it will cost less, and it will also be beneficial to the society, and it will have a low carbon. So when you reach the part, it is sustainable as well. So rather than putting everything into the system directly, we need to make sure that AI understands sustainability. That's why we need to improve the data making decision. And I already explained this in my book as well. When the AI is working on the data set, it needs to understand environment, social, and governance issues. that
I think there's even a step before this, because
yes.
if an AI agent would order something, what is it based on? Because if it's based on a spec sheet that it could find, who says that it is in fact the latest spec sheet? I mean, most organizations that I see, their document control is not particularly in order. So maybe it's getting the information from the wrong source. Big chances that this is the case. So I would not, maybe like in 7 years, would say like maybe he can initiate an order, but it's more like, hey, maybe you should check this drawing and see if it is
Let's see
something that
how
you want to
Perfect.
order.
Yes, I agree with the lady as well, how things are going, because when we approve this technology as the internet governance policy, this is the request that is coming, that when the maintenance engineer is working, or the aircraft parts as well. I had a meeting yesterday with some people that who are aircraft consultants as well. Aircraft cannot stand on the ground. That's the point. You need to have the parts as soon as possible by road, air, or everything. When we're doing the smart manufacturing, this is also matters when we are doing the resource management, especially it comes to the energy. If I give you a very good example in Nordic countries as well, it's like Norway is all Tesla cars, right? If everyone starts to charge the car, the grid will go down, right? So what happens is that we have the AI smart grid system that you just plug in your car and automatically the system designs your charging rate, and exactly they know what time you go for the office. If you go at 6 or 4 in the morning, some people go at 4 in the morning, 6 in the morning, they exactly know when is the lowest rate, so how they can manage this. So they speak with the grid in digital twin as well, okay? And then you approve the decisions and they save the resources. It is called accelerated innovation. It also gives you enhanced transparency and accountability of tracking your emission, your waste, in terms of the sustainability part as well, because AI has, this is a big question that we have to acknowledge, that AI has to understand the environmental footprint of itself as well. For example, I tell the children that when you write GP chat prompt, it is taking more energy than you getting the information, right? So you have to understand this one. Ethically, you have a responsibility of use the AI model that can prioritize, that you upskill yourself as well, but it can also protect the society and the environment in the larger context of sustainable development world as well. Sounds good? If we consume more and have less resources, then we will not be accountable to ourselves as well, and we have to optimize our resource management and energy management for the AI as well.
Yeah, we just covered sort of the human in the loop part of one of the questions in the Q&A box here, but there's another one, or at least touched on it, so we'll consider that. But there's another one that I think I'd like the panel to address here from Mohammed Faisal Yak. While enterprises are working on deploying secure, compliant AI solutions, many employees are already using personal AI chat tools like ChatGPT in their daily work, sometimes even exposing sensitive company data. This creates a gap between official enterprise adoption and informal employee usage, leading to security and compliance risks. How can organizations effectively bridge this gap? Anybody want to tackle that?
Don't talk about this. No one is allowed to use ChatGPT when we talk about this.
Yeah. But John, thank you very much. This is a wonderful question the gentleman asked. But this question has been addressed a little while ago, about a few years ago. It had happened, the problem with the Meta. We had to shut down the Meta system once. It had happened with the Amazon as well, because when the AI got wild. So now the AI is not wild. It is running under the governance systems and the policies and the protocol and the regulations as well, right? So in my October paper, the EU Data Act that will come out, EU Act will come out, it will talks about the databases. So it is up to you which databases you want to keep in the public domain, which AI can access, which are the private one, that is internal, the public one is external. Second is the internal one, which is the private data. And the third one, the secret information you don't want to share it with your competitor or anyone, right? So we have already divided this layer. So now you see this, you don't hear this problem from the GP chat. You don't hear this problem from Gemini. The Google has a big data set, Amazon, and all the other ones, because this has been addressed about a few years ago as well. But we regularly update the internet governance and policy, because right now the biggest problem is, I was sitting in a NASA meeting today, because I sit in a internet planetary network meetings as well. If you give open everything, you will understand the AI will change the satellite position with the Starlink and all the other ones as well, right? And there are a lot of small islands in the world. They just connect with the satellites and all this one. So AI has been given a parameters as well, that how they have to govern which data they can access, either it's in the public domain, okay? If it's a private data, you know the way we have set up the KPIs in the systems as well, okay? So because they have to be under the boundary of the regulations as well. So we need the good governance system for the data, because this is the technology beyond just the user case. It's a platform. So it needs to think and share the knowledge according to as well, because there is a concern of data privacy and complexity when we are designing the work plans and system in manufacturing also.
Thank you. Asif, I'm going to ask one more question. I see Julie Fraser has posted a few. Hi, Julie. It's good to see you online here at this event. This is likely going to be Kenny and Miranda hopefully briefly responding to both as we wrap up our time here. She's referring to the natural tension between ROI to address sort of people and job security and the idea of eliminating difficult tasks. And so the question she posed is, traditionally, easy return on investment was eliminating people, and AI might do that, per Miranda. But Kenny seems to think perhaps that's not so much the case. Can you help understand how financial justification is working for these ever-growing and changing systems? Maybe both of you can respond, because I do see that tension on both sides of that equation.
Perfect. As I mentioned, the balance it's so essential. Okay, we have and people. Okay, bringing a lot of things like creativity, culture. Many things depends of people. Okay, I think the AI brings just data or precision, but the AI it's here to make people more smart or think this is great tools for us. I think that.
Great. Miranda, can you comment as well?
Yeah, I think that there is, if I look at the chemical industry, we have a shortage in people. So it will replace jobs because it needs to replace jobs. We cannot, like, we used to have operators for over 30 years in the factory. Now someone working at the same site for 6 years, they are like a senior. So if there can be AI agents that remain to have the knowledge, I have one operation manager, and he was like, if we can have AI that can just give like an idea, okay, if this alarm goes off, try this, because a lot of operators just didn't know. So I'm more thinking of, yes, it will replace jobs, but because of its necessity, and not because that is the goal. Like, oh, we think AI is better than the people, because I don't believe that that will be the case. Maybe in some jobs will, of course, vanish, and I think most jobs involved with content writing and stuff like this. So yeah, it will replace jobs, but I think we should aim for to upgrade the results that we have, and AI can empower this. So I think if you would replace humans with AI, you're just gonna replace your problems. So you used to have underperforming KPIs because humans make these mistakes, and then you replace it because AI make this kind of mistakes. And I think if you can combine them, you will have the best result.
Outstanding. So if we were face-to-face, I'd ask for a round of applause for these great speakers. Asif, Kenny, Miranda, thank you for an outstanding panel discussion here. Thanks to the attendees for listening in and for your great questions. Now it's time to move to our next session, Protocol Spotlight, how to use Model Context Protocol, MCP, to power your agentic AI strategy. So from our perspective, thank you and have a great day.